right? My name is Vikash, and it's a pleasure for me to kind of take over the next session. And our speaker here is Mr. Pankaj Harlalka. He's the founder of Horizon Management Private Services and Relay Solutions Private Services. He's a business mentor at Kid City, and he focuses on succession planning and work with a lot of companies as an investment banker. So he began his career as an assistant company secretary at Dolphin Laboratories, and he holds diverse expertise in and commitment in nurturing future business leaders, right? So while I was going through what he's going to talk about, he's going to talk about some innovative practices around restructuring, right? And how to, and then he's going to talk about some case studies. So first of all, may I please invite Mr. Pankaj Lalka. Sir, please. Give him a round of applause, please. Yes, I also invite Priyanshi to come on stage, please. So he's going to talk about innovative deal structuring and means of financing. He will talk about some case studies. Now, it's a very interesting topic even for me, because when we come across a lot of these transactions and mergers and acquisitions, we come across some very, very interesting deals and how they are structured, right? I mean, we can go on and on. So I'd let Mr. Harlalka speak about it for the next few minutes. Thank you so much. Round of applause, please. And while we do that, may I request Mr. Mohit Buteria, sir, to please come and felicitate our speaker. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Vikash, for the brief introduction. So the topic is interesting, and I have to make it interesting too, right? So my first point is beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, right? Now, I'm 50 plus. When I married, I was about 27, and I got 26 rejections because that time I was working with Dolphin Laboratories as an assistant company secretary. My salary was 10,000 rupees, and being from a Marwadi family, the girls' parents all came from Marwadi family. So they looked at the earning, not the earning potential. So the person who looked at the earning potential gave me his daughter, and she's my wife, Rashmi. We are almost married for 25 years. So this is the first philosophy that comes in restructuring, right? Is the perception, what you look at. Now, आपके लिए कई startups में valuation is absurd, but जो आदमी पैसा डाल रहा है, he understands what is there. So you have to look from the perception. So first, I'll not be talking much on, because Samudra, through his vast knowledge, I think he's a ocean of knowledge, and through his deliberation has already explained about the various laws. I don't want to repeat that, but what I want to tell you is how one looks at, restructuring. So basically, why has India won last 18, test series in India? Because they know the conditions better, right? And they don't perform that well in the overseas, because that's a condition that you don't know. So similarly, when you're looking at restructuring, you have to know the laws. Either you know it or you go to someone who knows the laws, right? So basically the laws that he stated, SEBI laws, corporate laws, Income Tax Act, stamp duty, that's how you got to look at. So sometimes if you are good at it, or you got to study structures. But I'll tell you, every restructuring will be different from the other. You can't put it in a straight-jacketed formula. Now, the first case that I'm going to talk about is about a company wherein India's ka behemoth, which is like a monopoly in the stainless steel sector. The name of that company is Jindal Stainless, right? And there's a company based out of Indore, Pitampura. So it came in NCLT. There was a bidding done. So there was a small company, much smaller in size if you talk. But that way, yes, large today, it's a 26,000 crore market cap company. It's Shyam Metallics. I am part of Shyam Metallics. I am heading the IR at Shyam Metallics too. So we acquired this company, Mittal Corp, at a consideration of 351 crores after fighting with Jindal Stainless for 4 to 5 months. But how he looked at the transaction and how we looked at the transaction actually made the difference. So this was a loss-making company. Last 10 years, the plant was shut down. There were losses in excess of 1,600 crores in the company. So what we did was we merged this company. So the consideration we paid is 350 crores, but the advantage we got is 500 crores. So we merged it in one of the companies in which we are doing a PAT of around 500, 600 crores. So this entire transaction, so we could bid higher because we looked at this angle, which they were not able to look. They were looking at only the angle कि इस company में कब business में profit आएगा, उससे हम क्या बना सकते हैं. So there the considerations became different. Plus, so it's an advantage to us because we were already into ferroalloys. We wanted to get into stainless. That's how the transaction is. So this is one transaction that I spoke about. So it's how you look at and interpret the laws. And then there are a lot of things that you can look around and do. आज मैं अगर पूछूं कि आपने भी सब स्टूडेंट रहे हुए हैं लाइफ में, आप you do something बदमाशी in the classroom and you go yourself and say teacher कि आपने ये गलती की है, और दूसरा आप बदमाशी कर रहे हो और टीचर उसको पकड़ा, तो उसका पनिशमेंट अलग होता है. Agreed or not agreed, right? With that same philosophy, I've dealt with a case. Now there was one acquirer. He took over a company. He wanted to take over that company, so he was big with money, net worth and everything. And he had taken over the company because in takeover, anytime it's about 2006, so that time it was 15%, it would attract the takeover code. So this guy took over 45% from the existing players by putting 5% in 9 different entities. So he had 45% of the company. Now he came to me 6 months post his acquisition and he said, Pankaj, this is a listed company, we got to do the takeover. So I told, सेबी में जो बैठा है वो तो बेवकूफ़ नहीं है, तो आप तो ये गलती किए हो और इसको समझ में आ रहा है एक साथ you have taken 45%. So he said, what can we do? I said, we'll do this, कि we'll say सेबी कि ये मेरा ही था 45%, but I asked him, what is the reason that you did not do the takeover till now? He said, Pankaj, when I go to settle my creditors, there are more than 100 crore creditors here. If I go to settle them and they know what my net worth is, they will not settle me at less than 100 crores only. Because they will say, boss, आपके पास पैसे आप पूरा दो, because you are taking over the company. So, but I went as an existing management and I could settle it at 10 crores. So that was an innovative thought there. And then I said, chalo, I'll also bring some innovation in this transaction. So I told, we'll go to SEBI, we'll say we made this mistake. Because the law clearly stated कि अगर आप डिले किए हो आपको 10% का टैक्स देना पड़ेगा, माने इंटरेस्ट देना पड़ेगा on the acquisition. I said against that 90 crore saving, 1 करोड़ रुपया का आपका जो एक्स्ट्रा इंटरेस्ट देना है, so I think that's a huge benefit. I said फिर अगर कोई गलती सामने आती है उसमें कोई पेनल्टी देगा तो आई थिंक वो 10-15% का टैक्स इंटरेस्ट ही देगा एंड मे बी दे विल गिव सम पेनल्टी. सो we went to SEBI and then SEBI said, how can you do this? We have never seen such kind of disclosure. आप खुद अपना गलती मान रहे हो. हम बोला आप तो पकड़ते ही, तो हमको मानने में क्या प्रॉब्लम है? तो बोला आप सज़ा दीजिए, गलती आप पकड़े हैं तो दे सेड आपको 2.5 लाख शेयर ऐसे बेचने पड़ेंगे. तो ठीक है, हमने बेच दिया और खुद ही खरीद लिया, तो there was no problem in the transaction. So it's all about, small little, so you have to take life lessons and then, from those life lessons, you have to bring this snippet into consideration. So just taking a cue of what next case I have to deal with, right? Now, the third case that we structured differently was a 56,000 square feet asset across 5 floors in a building called Nico House. So this was a asset sale under liquidation. Now, in one place there was Canara Bank, which was paying rent for since 75 in that building. On the second floor, there was about 4,000 square feet, which is infested with 20 lawyers who have not paid rental for the last 2.5 years to the building. And there were other, so the consideration here was how do you structure it? Because the liquidator wanted 28 crores. One single guy was never willing to take this entire, call of 28 crores. So we identified, broke the problem into 10 different areas, and then we looked at 10 different buyers. So finally we found 20 different buyers, and the main consideration here was we sold this same NCLT asset to someone at 10,000 and someone at 2,000 at the same place. Now there is a section called 50C of the Income Tax Act, which talks about stamp duty being levied at the rate of the municipal taxes वहाँ पर जो भी है. तो stamp duty का rate वहाँ पर था around 12,000 rupees. अब हमने तो 10,000, 12,000, 2,000 सब में बेचा है. So जो 2,000 में बेचा, उसका जो cost था 1 crore 60 lakhs, उसका stamp duty का cost आ रहा था around 5 crores. So in this transaction, what was most important is how do you interpret the stamp duty law. Now this was again the first case in Calcutta, because Calcutta में बहुत ज़्यादा ये हुआ ही नहीं था NCLT में liquidation वाला case. But there is a clear-cut provision. There are 5 steps to be followed. Advertisement होना चाहिए. It has to be proved कि multiple level पे the restructuring did not happen. Then it went into liquidation. So we got all that done. It took us 9 months running helter-skelter to the authorities at the KMC and all. Finally, they approved it. We had to pay some money also, but finally we got the approval. So stamp duty was charged on the consideration paid and not on the amount that is the designated area place. So this was so every transaction will help bring an innovation for you. Now Samudra just said that you need 3 years of eligibility to go for public, right? Now there is a classic case. The company had just acquired a company from the NCLT, and it had finished about 8 months. So the acquisition cost was about 38 crores, and they took 20 crores from Kotak Mahindra Bank at a high rate, interest rate of about 18%. So they came to us, Pankaj, how can you help us? So we went to banks. I said, you are already paying, and I can see very good numbers in your company. So let me try and go to banks. So I'm not a bank expert, so I hired some people who understand banking. They went to 2-3 banks, 4 banks, everybody rejected. Bola ye NCLT ka case hai, you need 2 years of history, and then we can bring down. So then I looked at a small opening. The opening came through a BSE Stock Exchange SME regulation, which stated that if you are in existence for 1 year and institutions have backed you, then you are allowed to go for an IPO. So we did that IPO. Once it closed 1 year of operation, we filed it. We did a 60 crore IPO at a price of 306 rupees. Today that company is valued at about 1,500 rupees, and the market cap is about 1,500 crores rupees. So that's because of the innovation, because once the 60 crore came through an SME IPO, the banks also came flocking to them. 18% ka rate has come down to about 9% today for the client. And obviously the business was good, so we were able to identify that and take it across, right? So I don't want to name the company, but if you want, I can tell you here, because this is a company which we did the public issue only. So this was Cosmic CRF, and Aditya Birla is the owner of that company, right? Again, so these kind of thoughts, how business is all about managing risks, nothing else, right? So, and these kind of calls are taken. Let's look at who are the people behind, right? So who can help you in terms of, because every restructuring requires finance and interpretation of laws. That's how I look at it. So one side, let's look at who are the people who can give you a finance. So one is obviously innovative ways, an SME IPO, but there are NBFCs, there are banks, and there are structured finance players. So have you heard of any structured finance players like a Baring or a BlackRock? Now how they look at it, so in one company, there is an equity dilution. He comes to me and says, Pankaj, I want to raise 100 crores and I want to do it today. What is the kind of valuation? So I said, because you are getting discovered for the first time, the valuation will be always cheaper. And if you're so sure about your business, so right now with a 25% kind of dilution, you will get say 50 crores, right? And maybe based on his business plan, I said, in 3 years down the line, if you do this 25% dilution, you will get about 150 crores. So, but I can help you with a lending structure. So the lending structure is pretty simple. They give you lending against some assets. Their coupon rate is about 8 to 10%, and bulletly they can take money back after 3 years. And that you can replenish it through the IPO proceeds. So what I saved for the client is his, 50 and 150 against a cost of around 13 crores. So that was the interest that he would have paid over this period. So there are a lot of innovations around as far as restructuring is concerned. Now, as I said, beauty lies in the hands of the beholder. So there is a company. So I've started this company along with Raj here and Sandeep, my co-partner. So basically we started this company called Relay Solutions Private Limited. The thought here is there are a lot of people who now are, big with business, 25 crore to 400 crore kind of net worth. They send their children abroad, 4 crore लगा के बच्चों को बाहर भेज देंगे, 10 में से 8 बच्चे वापस नहीं आते हैं पढ़ने के बाद. they are well settled in US only. और आजकल there is no thought of joint family. तो जॉइंट फैमिली जब है नहीं तो न्यूक्लियर फैमिली है, तो भाई तो है नहीं कोई धंधा देखने के लिए. अब ये बेचारा 65 ईयर ओल्ड हो गया, 70 ईयर ओल्ड हो गया, he will have to sell his business. So we help such kind of solution. And last around 20 days back, we closed one transaction. So basically this was a 75-year-old man doing very good business, 60 crore का turnover, 8 crore का PAT with a 15 crore का EBITDA. एंड 35 करोड़ उसके बैंक अकाउंट में पड़े हुए हैं. सो अब आप देखो कैसे लिस्टेड कंपनी. सो वी वेंट टू अ अनलिस्टेड कंपनी. ही सेड आई कांट गिव यू मोर बिकॉज ही डिडंट हैव द कैपेसिटी. देन वी लुक्ड एट अ लिस्टेड कंपनी. अब वो लिस्टेड कंपनी जो है उसका 10 करोड़ का, आई एम नॉट गिविंग द एग्जैक्ट नंबर्स, बट उसका समझ लीजिए 10 करोड़ का पैट है, उसको 25 का मल्टीपल मिल रहा है. और मैंने ये डील उनको 123 करोड़ में बेचा. ठीक है, तो यहाँ समझ लीजिए 12 का मल्टीपल हुआ या 13 का मल्टीपल. उसको मालूम है कि मैं जैसे ही ये पैड जोड़ूंगा मेरे को तो 25 का मल्टीपल मिल रहा है. उसके लिए एक्विजिशन कॉस्ट नियरली 1 साल में उसका जो पेबैक आप उसको 4 साल में देख रहे हो, उसके लिए वो पेबैक 1 साल का हो गया. So those are the innovations. So every situation will give you some. So if you have we may be here business people, we may be intermediaries here. So we don't get paid to find problems. We get paid to find solutions. So if you can find a solution in adversity, that's where you get the most money, right? So restructuring is what? आप एक डॉक्टर के पास जाते हो, आपका शरीर है, उसमें कुछ खराब हुआ, वही उसको आइडेंटिफाई करके उसी को वो ठीक करना है. So as a restructuring professional or looking at restructuring, it is just that, and you have to find the right tools to do it. I can go and on because we have brought some innovations in most of the structures that we have done, right? So I'll open the session if you have any questions. Otherwise, I can talk about one more structure. So Samudra did talk about, you know, the holding company, subsidiary company. So you all know Star Cement, right? And Star Cement ka, because they all came out from Century Ply. Century Ply se pehle Star Cement nikla, but then there was a holdco which was listed, and the subsidiary was the company which was actually into operations, and they were not listed. Now, the option for us was to list Star Cement separately and then, you know, delist the holdco. That was one, because SEBI did not have any law which allowed me that. So I went to SEBI personally. We did a presentation to them. I said, it's the same company, same promoters, everything. We want the holdco to be not listed, and we want the company to be listed because holdco gets a discount of about 30% and the shareholders are made at a loss. So in spite of not there being any rule per se, SEBI allowed us, and that was also a landmark kind of, you know, listing per se. Because holding company, the subsidiary company got listed in place of the holding company. So once you think technically it is right, then you have all the right to go and, you know, try for it. In terms of, I'll just give you one another structure. So how do you do, what do you say, business risk analysis? So I have worked with Microsec for, you know, good 15 years of my career. I started in 2003, and 2016 when Microsec, you know, sold over to Narnolia. So I moved out with Narnolia. So in Microsec, post our public issue of 150 crores, we lent about 90 crores to one entity. And there also the innovation was the entity that we lent to, we didn't take shares of that entity, but that entity had a big stake in a cement company. And we understood that steel se better cement hai. So we lent 90 crores against the shares of cement company, which we were able to recover. If we had only given it to the steel company, then our money would have gone to dust, because the company that I'm talking about is Adhunik. So that time we lent about 90 crores to Adhunik. But then that is the innovation and thought process that is looked at. So I've not given you thoughts on around, you know, the laws per se, because that's the work of the lawyers. And but generally I'll tell you, lawyers don't come out with this innovative thoughts. It's the management itself. They say, because they, as when Samudra was also explaining, how you set your objectives finds you solutions. So if your objectives are crystal clear, then there are two kind of promoters. एक promoter होता है जो सब कुछ करके आता है और अपना legal team को बोलता है बॉस इसको सजा दो, और दूसरा बोलता है कि मेरे को तो ये करना है, तुम सजा लो. It's always easier to work with the second kind of promoter, but this is the beauty. So solution मिलते हैं if you are finding it out. शादी आज समझ लीजिए, आप देख रहे हो, आप एक निगरो को देखते हो अपने पर्सपेक्टिव में, आपको लगता है इसका शादी कैसे होगा, उसका भी होता ही है ना. तो उसी तरह restructuring में if you find the solution in the right way, the solutions are found. So any questions from the house? नो, डिफरेंशियल स्टैम्प ड्यूटी नहीं था ना. फिर वो लॉ है 50C के बाद NCLT का केस था, ये लिक्विडेशन का केस था. सो वी टुक दी what do you say, we took the umbrella or shed of the, you know, the NCLT this thing. उसमें लिखा हुआ है कि अगर आप एडवर्टीजमेंट दे दिए हो तो फिर ये एक्चुअली क्या होता है ना, कैलकाटा में डील्स ही नहीं हो रहा है. बॉम्बे में तो बहुत कॉमन है, बॉम्बे में NCLT डील्स होता है. यू आर पेइंग द स्टैम्प ड्यूटी अकॉर्डिंग टू व्हाट यू हैव पेड इन अ लिक्विडेशन डील. बट कैलकाटा में कोई किया हुआ ही नहीं था, तो ये समझ में ही नहीं था लोगों को. सो वी हैड टू गो थ्रू दैट. It took us 6 months, but it's there in law. That it's nothing that I have interpreted alag se. It's just that there was no precedent. It was very difficult to get that. Now it is being done. वो हमारा first case था. Yes, yes. This was because this provision was in the NCLT, not normally. Yes.
There's a question at the back there. Yes.
वो एक स्टेनलेस स्टील कंपनी क्या बोल रहे थे जिसकी एक्विजिशन हो रही थी to take advantage of the brought forward losses.
No, the brought forward losses is a benefit. It's not कि you just take it for that, but there are people who do that. For us, it was also a forward integration.
So section 72 prevent होता है ना वो shareholding change होने के बाद you cannot like carry forward the losses.
So we had merged that. That was part of the NCLT deal. We got that merged into our company as part of NCLT.
Thank you, sir.
You would, so I was part of the Mittal Corp deal as well, as on the valuation side. You might want to talk about the intangible benefit as well around it?
No, I think.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so thank you so much, sir. I think as we wait for some more questions from the audience, it reminds me of one of the restructuring deal that we came across, and sir, you might want to share some insights on that. So there was this private company which was valued, let's say the valuation per share was about 10,000 rupees. Now they wanted to raise more funds while protecting the interest of the founders, right? So what they did was they issued more shares to the founders on a partly paid up basis. So उन्होंने सिर्फ founders से 10 रुपए लिए, founders को share allot हो गया, 10,000 का value per share है. अभी बोल रहे हैं कि further payment would be required, whenever the further payment is required, only the company is going to pay money to the founders, and then only the founders will pay the balance 9,990 rupees. राइट एंड सो अलॉटमेंट उनके पास आ गया, फाउंडर्स के पास में उनका स्टेक रह गया, फाउंडर को पैसे भी नहीं देने पड़े, और फाउंडर के पास में वो ऑप्शन है. सो टुमारो इफ द वैल्यू गोज अप टू लेट्स से 20,000 रुपीज़, फाउंडर कंपनी से ही पैसा लेगा, कंपनी को ही पैसा वापस देगा और अपना स्टेक मतलब प्रोटेक्ट करके रखेगा. सो दोज काइंड ऑफ
बट ये कंपनी जब तक पूरा शेयर्स कन्वर्ट नहीं हो जाता है तब तक लिस्ट नहीं कर सकता है.
हाँ, नो दिस इज स्टार्टअप कंपनी, बट यस अनदर इंटरेस्टिंग इनसाइट्स. थैंक यू सो मच ऑन दैट. राइट, एनी अदर क्वेश्चंस हियर? No? Okay, thank you so much, sir. I think it's very, very insightful. May I request Priyanshi?
Thank you, sir, for this insightful seminar. The examples that you have given had real-world application to deal restructuring, giving us practical takeaways in our daily practice. And this is a very relevant topic given the current financial landscape, and very much needed in our day-to-day practice. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.